Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. Today we are here recording episode 89, and we will be discussing some of the languages we have learned and are in the process of learning, and why we have learned them, and also some languages that we plan on learning in the future. And we hope this episode will give you some insight into some reasons why you might want to learn a language if you haven't begun this amazing and exciting journey of learning a foreign language. Also, I am planning on discussing some languages to learn in terms of practicality, depending on where you may want to travel or work, things like this. So this episode is just for you if you are a little nervous and not sure if you want to take the big leap into learning a foreign language. Or maybe you're wondering, well, why should I learn a language? Especially if you live in a country like the United States where, most people speak English. I know in America people do. However, that isn't always the right mindset or attitude to have. And I'm also curious to hear Jared's story about why he has learned some languages and what languages he may be planning to learn in the future. So without further ado, my buddy, my pal, what's going on, Jared?
Bonjour, hola, guten tag, ahoy, hello. Slipping on gator piss.
Hello, cheerio.
That's a completely different language than mine. Oh, God, hold on. I'm so sorry. That's off to a good start.
Пожалуйста.
Follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number one. Please email us, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com, and spread a little love. Give us 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Sorry, I had to get that out before I almost died. Off to a wonderful start here. And this is a great day, lovely day. I can see the sun shining in your face. It's rare that I get to see you, in sunlight just because the time change.
And I'm a vampire, but yeah.
That true. You really do make a point that this has to be at night for some reason.
Yep.
You got a little piece of smoke coming off your forehead right there where the sun's hitting you.
Let me close the blinds quickly.
Did you know today here in the United States is Earth Day?
Yes, I did know that. And here in the Czech Republic, breaking the fourth wall, but today is actually Easter Monday. Yeah. Easter Sunday in the States, Easter Monday here in the Czech Republic. And I have to tell you, man, I still to this day am just flattered by the hospitality of Czech people. I went with...
go ahead, sorry.
So I went with one of my friends and colleagues to his parents' house in a village near Chomutov called Březenec. It's a beautiful village. And dude, his parents' house was awesome. So they had a clay tennis court in the backyard.
Ooh.
And we didn't play any tennis today, but we're going to do that in the future. But they also had a little, it looked like it was probably an old trailer or even like a wagon from a train that had been converted into like a backyard pub. And they had a keg, and I tapped my own beer today, and it was awesome.
Sounds like fun.
It was cool. So I learned how to tap beer today, which was I mean, I've seen people do it enough where it's not that difficult, but that was pretty cool. And had some amazing schnitzel and some really good Czech potato salad and some tasty. Actually, we had some Sachertorte, which is actually Viennese.
Yeah, that sounds like
but it was good.
Very Austrian meal that you had, not a Czech meal.
Whoa, watch yourself there.
Schnitzel,
Czech Republic, right? But see, the Czech
Sachertorte.
Republic was a part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Right.
So they do have, especially where I live, they have a lot of those roots that you can still kind of see. So it was a fantastic day. And then I set up with one of my colleagues, we set up a little Easter egg hunt for the children. And in the Czech Republic, they don't do Easter egg hunts. So the children were super excited.
Oh.
Not to brag, but I hit a couple of the eggs in some good places. They had a little swing set
Kids
as well.
are still looking for them right now.
That's right. And a year from now, they might maybe do this tradition and they'll find a really old egg, right? Exactly. But it was really funny. One of the eggs I hid that I was really proud of, they had a swing set, and they had like a rope to kind of climb up it. And the way the ropes were intertwined, I kind of could split the rope a little bit. It was 2 pieces, and I stuck the egg right there.
Oh,
they did find it, but I was proud of myself for that one. So it was fantastic.
What'd you put in the eggs?
Well, so no, we just bought chocolate eggs.
Oh, okay.
It's not like the States where they don't really have the plastic eggs you can put stuff in here.
Right. I guess if they don't eat Easter egg hunts, why would they have those?
Right. We would have to buy Kinder surprises, take out the chocolate, take out and hide the surprises, which just seems like too much work.
When I used to do Easter egg hunts back in the day, my parents, they would hide eggs all over the place. And there would be specific ones that they hid way better than other ones that would have money in them. So, say there'd be one with like $1 in them, and they'd hide it kind of easily. And then there'd be one with 5, and it'll be a little harder. Then there'd be one or two, maybe one or two
20?
that have either 10 or 20 in there.
Nice.
And those are like well hidden.
Right.
But, obviously, me and my sister, when we're 10 and 6 or whatever, we're gonna find those things.
Right. Oh, for sure. For sure. It was just so cute to see the joy in those children's eyes running around trying to find the eggs. And honestly, man, I'm 27, but I'm not trying to have any babies within the next couple of years. But that just goes to show that I think one day, if I ever do have kids, I cannot wait to hide those eggs in some crazy places. I'm excited.
Oh, man. Yeah, for me personally, I don't know if hiding eggs is enough for me to want to have kids.
I'm not.
I'm sure that's not the only reason why you'd want to. But.
Right. Yeah. Can I just borrow your children so I can hide Easter eggs?
Did you go around and do the little slap on the ass thing?
Not really. So what happened was I had written a friend of mine, and I don't think the message sent, or something wrong happened because he never responded. I looked, and I couldn't see the message, and I know I sent it. And so basically what ended up happening is I slept until about 10, which was glorious. Mm-hmm. Slept until 10, and then showered, got some things ready, played guitar for a little bit, and then went to see my colleague at their house. And then I showed up, and I brought my acoustic guitar, and I had a bag with I didn't want to go empty-handed, so I brought them some presents. So I had bought some Easter candy a few days ago for them because I knew I was going to spend. They invited me to spend the afternoon with them. So thank you. So I bought some Easter candy and brought that over for the children, and then brought the adults a bottle of champagne. And then I brought over my acoustic guitar. And because I had all this stuff I was carrying, I didn't bring my pomlaska, which is Czech for like your Easter whip. And so the first thing one of my colleagues says, she says, where's your pomlaska? And I had so much to carry. I'm going to be honest with you, Jared. I also didn't want to bring it because I felt weird.
I feel like that's the first reason why you didn't want to bring it. I feel like if you really wanted to bring it, you could have figured it out.
Right. I mean, realistically, I could have slightly unzipped my guitar case and popped it in there.
Yeah.
But I just, here's the thing. So my colleague, I would assume she's probably in her late 30s, early 40s. Mm-hmm. Her children are, I believe, I think 13, 11, and 6 or 7. And they're all girls. She has 3 daughters. And you whip all the ladies, including the daughters. And
I'm glad you didn't bring it.
I felt, here's the thing. I go there, and she's like, where's your pomlaska? I'm like, I don't have it. Didn't matter. They had one ready. They had a spare. And so the mom literally calls the girls, and she says, all right, girls, come on. They all turn around and slightly bend over, and, they sing the Easter. I tell you what, it felt weird, but it didn't feel as weird because, it seemed kind of like the girls were, kind of looking forward to it because it's a tradition there.
Right.
For us Americans, it's weird,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But for them, it's
children.
a tradition. Right. It's exactly. And it's a tradition. And the other thing is, so because you use a whip with willow branches, the willow tree here in the Czech Republic, I think, has kind of a special cultural relevance, which is that it's kind of like a tree of life. And so the whole reason, the tradition is when you whip the ladies on the bottom with your willow tree branch whip, you're supposed to transfer that energy from the whip to the ladies. So it gives them health, it gives them beauty. If you're an older woman and you're wanting children, it gives you fertility, all these things, right?
I forgot to record our video, but anyway, keep going.
So yeah, were you not recording?
No.
Uh-oh.
No, my bad.
It's all good.
So this will for the no. I can. I'll just cut it. We don't have to start over. I'll just start the video here and have non-video for the sorry YouTube people.
That's all right. That's all right. No worries. It's not a hectic
the video
day.
at about 10 minutes.
Right. But yeah, so it was a good time though. It was great to meet my colleagues' parents, and they also. It was really funny. When I met them, they said, hello, I'm so-and-so, hello, I'm so-and-so, in English, and it was really good English. So I was really surprised by that. And then, I changed into my official Laid Back Vibes podcast uniform. But before that, I was wearing my purple Jimi Hendrix shirt. And my colleague's father was like, Jimi Hendrix? He's like, that's awesome. And I was like, yes. And I brought my guitar with me, and my colleague brought his guitar. And so we played for them. We played some Jimi Hendrix. And then we played Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. Honestly, man, playing for him reiterated one of the reasons why I love playing guitar and playing music. You should have just seen the joy on his face.
Yeah.
It was priceless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It immediately brings people together. And I assume he doesn't, just by the joy that it brought to his face, he's not often playing with other people.
Well, no, I mean my colleague's father who was listening.
Oh, I got you. I mean,
we were having fun as well.
Right.
But it was just so awesome. I played Wish You Were Here, and then afterwards, which was kind of cool, he kept saying you in English. He kept saying, "You're a good guitar man." So I was like, "All right, I can respect that. I'm okay with that." So
how was their like the family's English? Were you kind of just like not saying much?
I didn't speak very much Czech. I mean, my colleague, both of my colleagues, I mean, I should really call them my friends because they're more than just colleagues. But they were doing some translating for me. I really have to also thank, my friends or colleagues' parents they really put a lot of effort and try to speak English with me. And so yeah, the children were a little more nervous about it, which is normal.
Right.
But yeah, and it was so funny, man. There was so it was my friend / colleague and his wife. Then he has 2 brothers, and they all have children. So my friend, he has 3 daughters. His brother has 2 sons, and his youngest brother has 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there were 7 children, and the youngest child was 3. And I don't think she really grasped that Czech was not really a language I was super fluent in. But she kept trying to talk to me. So that was really cute. She kept talking to me.
Anglicky.
and she was so proud of herself. She had found, when we did the Easter egg hunt, she found 2 little packages of gummy bears. And she came up to me and she said, Mom, what did she say? Mom, dvě bonbon. Like, I have two things of, I don't know why they call them bonbons because they're gummy bears, but
right.
And anyways, she was super proud of that.
Parada.
I just kept saying dobry, which is Czech for like good.
Yeah.
Because like what else? I didn't know really what else to say. But for being 3 years old, she was talking and talking and talking, and she was the cutest little baby. So it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. And like I said, I've just been flattered and humbled by the level of hospitality here. I felt like I was a member of their family, which was fantastic. To feel so welcomed and comfortable, and the food was delicious. It was a great time. So I think it was fantastic. But what's been going on with you, man? Enough about me. I've been talking way too much. What's been going on with you?
We always talk about. I wanted to bring up Earth Day. Some Earth Day facts that I have, because we always talk about the environment. We always talk about improving the environment and sustainability and all that stuff. I have some facts that blew my mind that I want to share with you.
Oh, great.
Recycling 1 aluminum can save enough energy to run a TV for 3 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so think about in Michigan, we are incentivized heavily, 10 cents per can to recycle.
It's worth
those.
it. People make some bank when they return cans.
Oh yeah, I mean when we were in the fraternity, we made there were times where I'm trying to think the most amount of money we made. I mean, it was probably like $40-50. Like,
right.
You can make a lot of money, which is, do the math. That's 400 to 500 cans or bottles or whatever.
Right. I had a friend in high school. maybe even middle school. It was middle school because we were all like really. That was when skateboarding was super popular, right? Tony Hawk was I still love Tony Hawk, but he was a huge celebrity back then.
Yeah.
And I remember a friend of mine had rounded up enough cans. He got himself a really nice new skateboard. And when I say a nice new skateboard, I mean a $50 deck, which is the wooden part of the skateboard, new trucks, everything. So he had like 1,000 cans somehow.
Wow.
Which was crazy.
He paid for the skateboard with cans, essentially.
With his money from bottle returns.
Not the actual.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
hey,
actually,
he took these cans.
1,000.
You take them.
There are 1,000. I counted them. You can take me for my word. But yeah, interesting though. So one aluminum can, 3 hours of TV.
Yep. Around 25.
Go ahead. So could you equate that maybe to 2 solid episodes of the Untranslatable podcast on your laptop as well?
Yeah. Or 1 3/4 if one of them is this one.
right.
Just started the video. Around 25,000 trees are cut down each day just to produce toilet paper. So that's just for toilet paper. That's not all the trees that are cut down each day.
We got to duvet it up, man. Get that duvet going.
How do you feel about the people that have you ever used wet wipes?
Yeah. I actually had,
not that those are better, but
I had. Oh, are you kidding? They're way better.
No, I mean better for the environment.
Oh, definitely not better for the environment. But I was using them actually in grad school just because I had watched a video of, I think it was Will Smith or somebody, and he was like, yeah, it's so much better. And I was like, no, it can't be that much better.
Will Smith says it.
And I tried it. And the other thing too, though, I was dating my ex at the time, and I had read somewhere that it's. If you have a lady with you, sometimes it's good to have those wet wipes, if you're going to get into the nitty gritty, and the ladies might want to do a quick little wipe. You never know.
Approximately 5 million tons of oil produced in the world each year ends up in the ocean. 5 million tons.
Oh,
and I assume
horrible.
This is American tons, not metric tons. Not that makes it that much better.
Horrible.
78% of marine mammals are threatened by accidental death, such as getting caught in fish nets. 78%. A glass bottle can take 4,000 years to decompose, which is why places like Germany, where they have the bottle recycling specific places, are so important.
Right.
Rainforests are being cut down at a rate of 100 acres per minute. Per minute.
That's ridiculous.
The United States is #1 trash-producing country in the world. Number 1. Woo, woo.
Oh, God.
I mean, America is full of trash, and I'm not just talking about the stuff we throw away.
Ooh,
Ford Motor
on
Company,
some gator piss right there.
Ford Motor Company has said that 75% of every vehicle is recyclable, which is very interesting. I mean, you think about it. I mean, the F-150, which is the leading selling car or truck in the United States since like the 70s or something crazy, nowadays is made almost completely out of aluminum. At least the body, obviously not the engine and stuff, but like the body is made almost completely out of aluminum.
Right.
If the entire world lives like the average American, we'd need 5 planets to provide energy resources.
Oh, God. That's sad.
Yeah. No one uses energy like us.
Do you have any happy facts? These are all so depressing. Of course you don't.
I have one more,
and
okay. I mean, it's not happy. It's not happy or sad. It's just an interesting fact. Actually, there were a bunch of happy ones, but I didn't really want to use those.
Of course you didn't.
There are more trees on the Earth than stars in our galaxy.
Really? I'm skeptical of that one.
NASA experts believe there could be anywhere from 100 billion to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Snopes, which is, I know, okay, reports, however, a 2015 paper published in the Journal of Nature estimated that the number of trees around the world is much higher, 3.4 trillion. Excuse me, 3.04 trillion trees.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I don't know, man. The galaxy's pretty damn big.
Well, they said the Milky Way. I mean, that's one galaxy.
All right.
There's an infinite number of galaxies, I'd assume.
All right. Well, Jared, I'm going to bring some positivity before we spread some love, and I got some happy Earth Day facts for you.
Oh, there we go.
Number 1. This is interesting. I didn't know this, but number 1, Earth Day is actually the largest secular holiday in the world. Earth Day works with over 20,000 partner organizations in 192 countries to coordinate events for this day. It is estimated that over 1 billion people take part in Earth Day activities around the world, which makes it the largest secular event on the planet.
I would have. I would have imagined that it would have been Christmas. That's the largest secular holiday. Slipping on gator piss.
Isn't secular non-religious?
Yeah, I was just talking about. Yeah, I was just saying that.
I got it. Now I see it. Okay, no, now I see it. I didn't at first. I didn't understand, but now I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's interesting though about Earth Day? Well, first of all, Jared, do you know when Earth Day began?
I actually saw that. I believe it was sometime in the 70s, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Which makes sense. April 22nd, 1970. But it did not go international until 1990. So Earth Day is only a year older than I am, internationally speaking.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy.
Do they celebrate Earth Day where you're at? I mean, I know it happens to be the same day as Easter this year, but Easter's not the same day every year.
Right. I don't know. That's a great question. I'm going to ask my students that tomorrow. Be like, do you guys know what else happened yesterday? We'll see how many of them know.
Have you... apparently it's Earth Day in the Czech Republic as well.
I mean, Earth Day is the same day everywhere, isn't it?
Oh, it is? Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All right. What else is interesting about Earth Day is it brought greenery to barren lands. So Afghanistan is known for being a barren and foreboding land with less vegetation than more hospitable areas. In honor of Earth Day in 2011, 28 million trees were planted in this country through the actions of Earth Day Network.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. By the way, would you have known it was Earth Day if, we didn't have social media? I have no idea when Earth Day is.
I would have known back when we were in, elementary or high school, but probably not now. Yeah, I couldn't have told you, what's today, the 21st? 22nd? 22nd? I couldn't have told you, yeah, Earth Day is on April 22nd. I could not have told you. Now we know, though. So, hey, you live and you learn. Yeah. Well, Jared, I don't know about you, but I think it's time to...
spread a little love.
And my first one goes out to Indiana because there is an Indiana school district that has made unused cafeteria food into take-home meals for children. So
that's great.
So from South Bend, Indiana, Elkhart Community Schools, they are they're not reusing, but they're using this unused food, which I think is amazing. And I'm looking at this right now, and it almost looks like, it kind of looks like a TV dinner. It's like a black tray with, 3 different little separators. One of them I see has some veggies. Looks like another one has some rice, and another one has some type of beef or some type of, meat. There's another one with a hamburger, not as healthy, but a hamburger, some tater tots, and some carrots. And they're prepackaged. And it looks like they send them home with the children, which I think is great because there are so many schools that overproduce food, at least in the United States.
Not just schools, food, just restaurants and a lot of food-making companies.
Right. And it's just wasted.
At the end of the day, they just throw it away. Why are we wasting all
this food? Right. It doesn't make sense. Why not donate it or give it to, if it's a restaurant, give it to your employees. Yeah. Don't throw it away. Give it to your employees.
When I was when I lived in Michigan in high school, me and my friends would go to Panera, and we'd always go around when they closed because it was almost always guaranteed that we'd get some sort of free treat of some sort, because otherwise they just throw it away.
Right.
And there would be, we'd have our pick of anything. It wasn't even just they'd be like, all right, we have a couple of these cookies left. It'd be like, we could choose anything because they and it's like, what do you mean you just throw this away? It's like, yeah, we're supposed to, that's the rules.
Right.
And it's like, man, what a waste.
And what's crazy too is, according to this article, well, first of all, the Chamber of Commerce in Indiana, their Leadership Academy, helped get the pilot program going for this, using this food in the cafeterias. What's interesting, though, and it's really a shame to read this, but there are apparently a lot of students who go home during the week or even on the weekends, and they don't have any food to eat. So, you have these poor children where, their parents might be in poverty or who knows what, have problems with drugs or who knows. And these poor children are suffering. And I think schools need to do a better job of trying to help out the children in any way they can when they have the resources available. Not all schools do, you know.
But food is clearly being wasted otherwise. Why
Right.
not, give it to the students?
Exactly.
They're paying for it essentially anyway.
Right. So big shout out to Elkhart Community Schools in Indiana. The next one I have, this is really fascinating. Iraq's oldest Christian town has celebrated their first Easter in years without ISIS intervening.
Oh, wow.
So I think that's really amazing. So what's crazy, though, is the church where they are doing the Easter ceremonies, it's still scorched, and some of the relics are missing. But after 5 years of war and exile, ISIS is finally gone from... I'm trying to find the town. I do not see the town. Hamdaniya, I believe, in Iraq. And so I think it's great that these people are able to express their religion without fear and can celebrate Easter together and be a community again and not be in exile. So I think that's fantastic. So shout out to them and shout out to everybody, religious or not religious, who are able to practice however they want. I think we should be living in a world where we have enough tolerance for our brothers and sisters where, if you want to celebrate Christianity, celebrate it. If you want to, celebrate Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Taoism, the list goes on and on, do it. Why should they be condemned for their religious beliefs? So big shout out to them. It's really nice to hear. But you know what else is nice to hear, Jared?
The unmistakable sound of the untranslatable owl.
Talk that calf out of that heifer.
Hit that button.
Well, sometimes you have to do that as well, Jared, when we try to do these untranslatables. So, Jared, I thought it would be very fitting for me to give you... I know I've done quite a few German ones the last few episodes, but I think this episode especially... It's very fitting because once we get to our main segment today, we'll be discussing why we've started to learn German. And so I have a good one for you, Jared, and it is Hüftgold.
Hüftgold. I don't know what that means at all.
Hüfte, die Hüfte.
I've heard that word before.
Your hips, my man. Hip gold.
Hip gold.
Hüftgold.
Oh, that's how you say gold in German?
Gold. Uh-huh.
Huh, I didn't know that. Hip gold. Now, please tell me that's what I think it is.
What?
Thick?
What do you think it is? Thick?
Yeah, with 2 C's. Oh, man. She's got that hip gold.
I mean, I don't think it's...
Is it like good at dancing?
No, I think thick has a positive connotation. Am I right?
Yeah.
I feel like thick has become the modern day version of voluptuous, like curvy, right?
Yeah.
I would say Hüftgold is the kind of thick that sadly isn't viewed as attractive.
Oh, okay. So it's just chunky?
Not chunky. Not chunky. Think about your hips. What do we call that when you got a little extra on your hips?
Childbirth and hips.
Or no. Or right above your hips, I guess. Is it? It's right above your hips.
Am I allowed to say this on this podcast?
Well, let's hear it. I'm curious what...
Fupa?
No, love handles,
Slipping
my
on
man.
gator piss.
Okay. Love handles or
you
a
just
muffin
got me in
top.
all sorts. I said like 6 different words that I never wanted to say on this podcast.
Right. No, love handles. Love handles
love
or a
handles.
muffin top.
Okay.
Yeah, Hüftgold. I could see why you would think, though, a lady who... Or a man or a lady who's good with moving their hips, like a good dancer. I could see where you come... where that came from.
When I hear gold, I think a positive connotation of some sort. Gold is odd that gold would be included with something considered negative.
Who knows? Maybe in Germany they enjoy their muffin tops and love handles. To all of our German listeners out there, get at us, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Let us know.
I'm moving on. My first one is Estonian, and it's käsisi mis. Has a nice little sound to it, too.
It does have a nice sound.
And it literally means who is in front is the man.
Early bird gets the worm.
Kinda. It's not specifically about like being. We have a
First is the worst, second is the best.
We have a similar in the U.S. It's a popular thing that children say. For example, let me give you an example. Say we were doing an Easter egg hunt, you and I, and you find the $20 egg. No, excuse me. You find the $20 egg. As you're picking it up, I reach for it too, and we're fighting over it. And you say, "No, I found it first. It's my egg." And I'd be like, "No," and so you would say to me, if that were to happen, and I'd be like, "Oh, come on, I want it. I want the $20 egg."
I'd say you snooze, you lose.
Okay. Another thing children might say is finders keepers.
Oh, okay, for sure. Okay.
So essentially trying to convey that whoever discovers something first has the right to it.
Okay, I like that. Finders keepers, losers weepers.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'd be weeping if I didn't get that $20 egg.
It's okay, Jared. I'd buy you a nice meal with that 20. I'd share it with you. All right, Jared.
Thank you.
I got another German one for you. Dornröschenschlaf.
Well, the last word is sleep.
Yep. Do you know who Dornröschen is?
Oh, is that a person?
That's Sleeping Beauty. So Sleeping Beauty sleep.
It's like sleeping like a log. Is that what the English untranslatable would be?
It's
Sleep
not
out like a light. Like a light.
It actually doesn't have to do with sleeping per se.
Huh. So it's Sleeping Beauty sleep, and it doesn't have to do with sleeping.
I mean, it doesn't have to do with the action of sleeping.
Is it like not paying attention?
Not really. Like say you message me and you say, "Hey, can you I don't know, can you make the Trello for our episode?" And you ask me like a couple days in advance, right? And then it's 10 minutes before the episode and you're like, "Hey, did you make the Trello? Can you make the Trello?" And then 5 minutes before, then you're like, "God damn it, Chad, can you make the Trello already? We're recording in 5 minutes."
I mean, I can think of about 6,000 examples of that. So it's like, it's just like, get on, like telling. I don't know how to explain it, but I understand what you're saying. What would be like?
So, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, what would it be then?
It basically means showing little or no sign of action. For instance, you place a visa application, but the authorities show no sign of responding.
Gotcha.
You could say they are in a state of Dornröschenschlaf. That's also a tough word to say, by the way.
Dornröschenschlaf.
Yeah, that's because it's got the double R's and the umlauts. It's difficult.
Yeah. All right. My next one is Maltese from Malta, and it's Tix Tricks Hut Fil Bahar. And it literally translates to "do not buy fish while they are still in the sea."
Don't count your eggs before they hatch.
I'm going to give you a half horn on that. But I can only do a full horn.
That sounds nice, a half horn.
It means more that you shouldn't put your money on something that is not 100% safe. So it's like, don't go throwing money into stuff that you're not sure of.
Makes sense. That's good advice.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, though. Sometimes you got to take risks.
That's true.
You don't succeed without taking risks.
Calculated risks, though.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So I have one more German one and one Czech one for you. Which one do you want first?
Give me the Czech one.
Okay.
We'll finish with the German.
All right. So the Czech one is Venku se čerti žení, which means the devils are having a wedding out there.
Sounds like it's like a crazy party happening.
Not a crazy party.
The devils are having a wedding out there. Is it like it's like a storm or something, like a crazy storm?
Wow, very good. Very good, Jared. I'm impressed. I am very impressed.
Thank you. I have one more, and it's Zulu. I need to get this one a little closer. Soliwela umfula ugsvela. and it means the I crosses the full river.
The I crosses the full river?
I imagine this podcast being bigger than Joe Rogan's in about a week. And I imagine...
So just unrealistic expectations.
No. That was a bad example. That was a bad example. I have high hopes for this podcast. You know, I think this could be our job one day. I think I would like to have advertisers, but you know, it seems almost unachievable.
So something that's unachievable.
A desire goes beyond the possible.
Okay. So something unachievable. A desire that's unachievable.
I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
But I
that's
feel
fine.
I guess that is what it says. Maybe I don't want it to be what it is, but I think that, I guess that is what it is.
Right. All right. My last one is German.
Okay.
And it is scheinheilig.
Is it like to shine heilig? Is that like shine bright almost?
So shine means appearance.
Uh-huh.
And heilig is holy.
Oh yeah, Heiligen Testament.
Uh-huh.
It's like holier than thou. I would never do that.
Kind
oh wow,
of.
you're drinking alcohol? I mean, it's bad for you, but okay.
Not quite. I would say so holier than thou is more like when you're judging somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think scheinheilig is more like...
Is it like you're pretending to be... Like you're not judging other people, but you're almost pretending to be like a...
Yeah, kind of. It's basically an adjective to fit someone who seems lovely, but is in fact coy and sneaky. So someone who's not as innocent as they look.
Okay.
Like their appearance seems holy, but they're not really so holy.
Yeah.
Scheinheilig.
Okay, yeah. That's a good one. I like that. Clearly, my German is lacking. That's one thing that's been clear from our trip to Germany and from this last untranslatable segment that we just had.
Right.
But I don't like it, and as a I guess for now I can still call myself a German speaker. That is something that I want to keep up. That's something I want to get back to my old glory days of being able to have casual conversations.
Have you emailed the German organization in Philly?
I haven't, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I think it has something to do with this whole job search thing and not wanting to do it without and not knowing where I'm going to be soon.
Yeah, but you got some time to kill, don't you?
I guess. Yeah. Maybe I'm just making up excuses.
Could be.
Maybe it's just an excuse. But yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I do. Maybe you're right. I should. I'll do it after this. I'll do it after this.
There we go. Nice. So Jared, I want to start out and just ask you. So we've obviously mentioned on this podcast, we both speak German. I speak a little bit of Spanish. Obviously trying to learn Czech. It's a long and arduous journey. Mm-hmm. But why did you learn German? And I remember you telling me, well, I don't have much to say because you used to live there. But I think your story is more complex than that.
This has been just a full suite of wrong sounds happening during this. There's been sounds coming from all lengths. Anyway, well, I first started learning German before I moved there, but when we realized we were going to move there, I remember when when we first found out, we had a German teacher come to our house in Michigan for maybe 2 or 3 months beforehand, and it was an interesting. I had never really thought about this after, but that was an interesting sort of situation. So we had a German teacher that would come to our house maybe once a week on like a Sunday or something like that. And I don't even remember if it was I don't remember if it was who it was, so I can't say he or she. He or she would teach our entire family some basic German. And then when we got to Germany, we had a similar situation where we were in Köln for those people in Germany, for the first month before we actually moved into our place in Dusseldorf. And then we also had a similar situation where we had a German teacher, I remember he was a he, and he would come to our hotel and pick us up and take us almost on not adventures, but we would like
excursions.
Yeah, and he would like teach us like real active German. All of it, all the German I learned until I was started school was very, very like crash course style. Mm-hmm. It's like we're going to be here in 4 months. We got to figure this out at least to be able to get around in the beginning stages. So that's how it started, and I think. It's hard to get an 11-year-old to really take that stuff to heart.
Sure.
When you're at your house in Michigan and you're like, learn these German phrases. And like you have, like, I remember we even had like those Thema German books. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what is this? Why am I coming home and I got more school to do? Like, that's how I looked at it.
Sure. It's really funny you mentioned that. My niece is on Saturday. She goes to like a little German school. And she says the same exact thing. She's actually, I believe she's 10. She's 10 or she's 11. So pretty much in the same boat. Yeah, and I think she views it the same way, which I kind of understand. But I think with younger children, you just have to make it all fun and a game.
And I think it takes less work for her to get, like, even though she doesn't get it, and which I obviously understand because I've been there. It doesn't. You don't even like children's brains and minds are so powerful and absorb so much that even if they're not fully invested at that young of an age, a lot of it is still sticking with them.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. So you say you learned it because you moved there, but your journey with German didn't end after you came back.
No, it didn't. So I learned it while I was living in Germany, obviously. I took normal classes and I was submerged into it through friends and soccer and school and blah, 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 blah. And then when I came back, there was this same sort of thing inside of me. Even at 15 when I came back, there was that same thing inside of me where it's like, well, now I know it. I can't lose it.
Right.
Granted, I'm sure it helped. But I think it only helped because it gave me an outlet. But I don't think I really learned any more, like in high school, like when I was back in Michigan in the U.S. Honestly, I don't think I learned any more. I think it was just a way to sort of keep it going. But yeah, no, I mean, after that, once I had the basis for it and I knew it, then at that point, the main thing I loved about the fact that I knew German was I'm putting that on my resume for the rest of my life. And I want to at least be able to keep putting it on my resume and not consider myself a liar.
Right.
So like, as someone that, is in the automotive industry, well, now I'm in the podcasting industry, but someone that wants to get back into the automotive industry, obviously Germany has a large automotive industry and a lot of, even American companies have huge, what's the word I'm looking for? Like huge presences. That's what I'm looking for in Germany and Europe. And so it's just good to have on your resume. Even if you never use it, it's good to say that you know how to use it. And so like to this day, my goal now is to just keep up German, mostly for work reasons. And honestly, because eventually I do want to work abroad. And I think it's kind of difficult to work abroad in some sort of entry level position, usually because it costs a lot of money for the company. They want to be invested in you more than that. So, but I think once I'm at that sort of level, and they're looking at who do we want to promote to send to or send to this job in Europe, they're probably going to start with the people that know the language and know the culture. I mean, I don't know if they will, but they should.
It's a big help.
This way, they should do that.
Well, not only that, but I think if you look at the company's expenses, they'll be saving a lot of money because they, if they send you over there, you speak like you said, you speak the language, you understand the culture. So there's not going to be ideally there won't be any big cultural serious faux pas or mistakes.
And all those German teachers we had, my parents' company was paying for.
Oh, nice. So so they'll save money on those lessons. Although your German is good, but I'm not sure that you have the specific vocabulary in the industry. So they might have to do some lessons for you, but that's a lot less in the long run than starting somebody from scratch.
I don't think having specific industry knowledge is as important as being able to like be conversational with like I think it comes more into handy less in an office setting. Because, like, my parents didn't need to know German at their job. There was an English office, so everyone was speaking English there, even though it was an international office. I think it comes more in handy in, like, the sort of the networking part of the job. And so, like, my parents had friends that were German that through their company, and, they would hang out with them and stuff. And I think in that sort of aspect, it's more important than actually in the job itself. So even though it might not be a direct use at work, I still think that it has a lot of benefit to have someone that knows that culture and can have conversations that don't even have to be fully business related, but are, sort of networking based with different people that are related to your job or your company or whatever it is.
Right. And so my next question for you, also, I love interviewing you for once, because usually you ask me all the questions. So you lived in Germany, you learned the language there. You came back to the States. You mentioned you didn't want to lose it. What were some ways that you kept up with your German, and how I'm sure you also improved your German over the years as well?
One of the big ways was finding people like you, first of all. That helps, having a friend that speaks German better than I do and also happens to be a educated teacher, so knows how to, like, teach it as well. But before I had that, the first things that we've talked about this before, but you have to find like media that you're interested in. So whether it be books or TV or whatever, don't just do it because you're supposed to, but it really has to be something that you care about. Right. So now, like I mentioned to you, I don't know if I mentioned it here, but that podcast I listen to, I can pull it up. I have it on my phone, which is right here, called hold on. Come on, phone. So it's a podcast, or it was a radio show back in the day that I still enjoy listening to. It's by a guy named like Jürgen Domian, and he does the show that's essentially like an advice show for people with relationship or personal issues. Honestly, I need to listen to it more. I've kind of gotten lazy. I haven't listened to it in a while, but that is a big one that I like to listen to nowadays. In theory, I guess. Another one. Well, I used to be a huge fan of comic books. Like I used to like Calvin and Hobbes and stuff like that.
Oh, I love Calvin and Hobbes.
And I got a couple of them in German. So they're at my parents' house in Louisiana. But when I'm home, sometimes in Louisiana, I'll just whip them out and read. And because I've read so many of them, it helps to be reading something that I already sort of understand the gist of it. And I don't remember that specific comic strip, but I understand how Kelvin works, and I understand how Hobbes works, so I kind of get what they would at least be talking about in theory.
I wonder how that translates, because there's a lot of clever stuff going on with Calvin and Hobbes comics.
Yeah. I mean, I think it translates. Like I think a lot of it translates. Sometimes Calvin gets weirdly philosophical. Right. Yeah. But I think in general, even though like he's talking, like I think in general it's a pretty simple translation. Like there's not a lot of complicated words usually. Right. But I do think there's stuff like, for example, Spaceman Spiff. Remember that? Like that's a sort of like he has an imaginary superhero that he likes to be. I think that Spaceman Spiff has a completely different name in German. Like it's not even.
Oh, I'm sure
it's a different thing. Like stuff like that is useful. But I mean, that's also how you kind of learn other words.
Right. Like my favorite name of a different character in German is the name for Squidward in German. Do you know what his name is in German?
Yeah, Thaddeus.
Yeah, Thaddeus it's really funny though, because it sounds kind of like Amadeus Mozart. And Squidward's kind of this snobby, highbrow, plays this
wannabe artiste.
Right, exactly. So the name is fitting. It's really funny. But yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Jared. I just wanted to mention this again because I think it's so important for our listeners out there. You definitely have to pick something that you're interested in. And I think whatever language you want to learn, whether it's German, Japanese, English, any language out there, you need to also make it relatable to your own life, right? Like if you're just learning a language because you think it would be useful, I will tell you, unless you're super motivated and disciplined, you're never going to get there.
You got to want it.
Exactly. But if you really are passionate about it and you relate it to your passions, it will be so much easier to learn, right? For me, one of the things that I really enjoyed was when I was living in Vienna with you and then, that other semester was having my guitar lessons in German. It was great. And my guitar teacher was super pumped to teach me in German. Not that his English was flawless. He could have done it in English, no problem. But there's something about doing things in your native language that just comes a bit more automatic, regardless of how good you are in whatever your other languages are.
And even if you were, at that time you were just as good at German as you are now, I'm sure you've improved a little bit, but you know what I mean. But I still think that there's something to tackling the language from different aspects. Like, how much really did you focus on learning German musical terms before that, and how much did you apply those German musical terms? Like, it's not really something that comes up in classes or conversation much with other people. I mean, I learned
all the guitar specific vocab from lessons.
Right.
And also the nice thing is if you decide to learn a foreign language, and I hope after this episode, all of you will, if you aren't already thinking about it, I hope we can persuade you all to take up learning a new language, because it's just an amazing experience. It opens up so many doors and opportunities, not only career-wise, but just the people you can meet, the places you can go, your own self-confidence. I think it's really amazing. And learning a foreign language is kind of like a gym for your brain. In a lot of ways,
definitely a workout. Yeah.
Right. But what I wanted to mention about my guitar lessons was half the terms I had never heard before, but I knew immediately in guitar lessons what he meant. Like, one of the words that always pops into my mind is Griffbrett, which is the fingerboard. Or Bund is fret. Or this one's actually French, but they use it in German. Flageolet is a harmonic. And a harmonic, I don't know if you can do harmonics on piano. I don't think you can. But on guitar, basically, the way a harmonic works is you will play a string and you lightly tap the string. You don't press the string down on the fingerboard. You just lightly tap it. And it gives it this really kind of mystical, kind of airy sound. But I learned all these random words that I obviously, once we were doing the lesson, I knew immediately what they meant. And so it was super easy, and that also kind of got me a little bit more excited in some ways to learn more musical terms in German. It's just a great thing. And I think, once again, you need to find something in your life, whether it's comics, movies, music, podcasts. Check out the Untranslatable podcast for all sorts of different languages there. But yeah, it's important. Or I don't remember the phrases anymore, but I used to go to the U of M table tennis club with my dad when I was in high school. And I would play these old Chinese dudes, and they would always kick my ass when we would play. But they taught me a couple random Chinese terms. I don't remember them now because this was...
That's what they say about your playing. It's just mama hoo hoo.
Probably. But yeah. So and it's just a fun way to learn about other cultures and share your culture with other people. But yeah. So now I'm just curious, Jared. So we've talked about kind of why you learned German, and I think I'm at least pretty happy with the idea. I think it goes much deeper than just you learned it. Yeah, the reason why you started it was because you moved there. Right. But in theory, you could have stopped it, or you could have said, well, I can speak basic German. I don't need more of it. But you have continued it. And I think this podcast has been useful and helpful for the both of us. Because a language in a lot of ways is kind of like a really, really fancy car. Right? Or a car in general. Like you gotta, I knew I would get your attention with this example. Like you need to maintain it. You need to change the tires, you need to change the brakes, you need to, you know more about cars, so you could go way more in depth
that's
with
not
this
just a fancy car
example.
thing, but yeah, you're right.
but learning a language is the same way. And this podcast for us has given us that opportunity. And for any of you who are thinking about learning a language, I think you need to accept the fact that it's a lifelong process. You will always be learning new words. There will always be times when you'll be talking to someone or reading something where you're like, I have no idea what this word means, right? So keep that in mind. But I think it's a worthwhile lifelong journey that most people, I think everyone should really take up.
I mean, if you actually want to be, fluent or at least conversational in some language, it has to be, because it doesn't stay with you like that. Like, that's not how it works. You have to keep it up, or else it will definitely go away.
Right.
Like I know, I've mentioned before, I have friends that, I have a friend that grew up in Germany when he was, for the first, 4 or 5 years of his life. And then he spent the next probably 10 years in Michigan. And by the time he moved back to Germany, I was friends with him in Germany, but he's from Michigan as well. His German, he barely spoke German. And like the only German he knew were random, Schwäbisch phrases that are not really applicable to Dusseldorf at all.
Right.
And so, yeah, he like, you have to keep it up, or else it will definitely go away.
But here's the other thing. I think with him, that's also a somewhat rare case because he was so young. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think if you've been speaking a language, this is not a fact. This is more of a factoid, I guess, or as they like to say in academia, more of an observational. This is like observational data, basically.
Mm. Oh yeah,
Where I've seen with my father, who lived in Germany, speaks the language fluently. He went like 9 years without using it, without reading it, without writing it, without speaking, listening. Then our relatives from Germany came to visit, and it took him a day or two, but it came back pretty quick. So I think it can come back, but language attrition is also definitely a real thing, where if you don't use it, you can forget a lot of words. It can be difficult. So it's easier to just keep maintaining it, listen to some podcasts, watch some movies, read some books, talk to somebody. Nowadays, we have no excuse. As long as you have an internet connection, which if you're listening to this, you most likely do. So it's definitely
I sent
doable.
it to a few people on tape, but other than that, everyone else does.
Right, exactly. Transcribe it, put it in a carrier pigeon, send it their way. So Jared, now I'm curious. We've talked a lot about your experience, why you've learned German, some ways you've kept up with it. I'm curious, what are some languages that are on your list that you would like to learn?
I think it would be cool. I think it would be cool to get back into French. One, because I like how it sounds a lot, and two, because I had a basis for it. But the main one I want to do first is Spanish, for sure.
Sí, señor.
One is because we live in the United States, and it's the second biggest language here other than English. And two, because it's applicable in so many places outside of the U.S. Like it's a very, like, I would like to go to South America soon.
Right.
You mentioned Spirit Airlines has flights there, so if I make it, that would be cool.
Right. That's true.
And I have a girlfriend that speaks Spanish fluently, and we were talking the other day, and I was talking about how I want to learn Spanish. And she's like, "I'll teach you." It's like, we've talked about it. She's like, "I'll teach you," and I was like, I don't think it works like that. I was like, you can't just. And she's like, I think she is convinced that she can teach me. So apparently, she's going to start teaching me Spanish.
I hate to say this, but it's 2 out of 3 vote. I agree with your girlfriend. I think she could totally teach you. So I hope you tell her that. Tell her that I'm with her on that. No, 2 out of 3. I think you totally can.
But I think I have to. I think I'm gonna agree with you guys in the sense that I have to believe that I can, because there's no way I'm gonna learn it if I just keep telling people that you can't learn that way. Then if we say that, then yeah, you can't, because you're just like so convinced that it's for me. I'm so convinced that it can't be done.
It's a mental roadblock. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I will say though.
And she's not going to teach me. She's not going to also focus hard on grammar and stuff like that. It's not going to be a lesson where she's sitting down teaching me conjugations and that.
Well, see, that's what's great about learning a language through someone else, right? Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned at the top of the pod, I speak German, un poquito español, a little bit of Spanish. Mluvím trochu česky. I speak a little bit of Czech.
What?
Mluvite anglicky. And honestly, man, the majority of the Spanish until 2017 or 2018, January of 2018, was all conversational. My best friend in high school was my buddy Robert from Chile, who I've mentioned on this podcast many times. He's also the one who taught me how to roll my R's. So it can be learned, people. If you're curious, get at me, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Untranslatable1 on Twitter, although then Jared will have to relay it my way. But
if
anyways,
it's the email, I'll have to relay your way too. But
right. Anyways, it is possible to learn how to roll your R's, but that's a different story. So anyways, but I learned a lot of random stuff, and I could understand a lot of Spanish when I was in high school because of my buddy Robert. Now, I couldn't speak a ton, but I could understand a lot. And understanding, I mean, look, if you want to learn any language, the natural process always goes, you listen first, you begin to understand, and then you begin to speak. It's like when you're a baby. How many children are actually forming full-on sentences before they're 2 or 3?
Right.
And because it's just getting 2 or 3 years, just you, because you're a genius. But other than that, it's 2 to 3 years of solid just listening and absorbing. I think that's why people think that children learn languages faster. I don't think that's necessarily true, and research shows us that's not really true because children just have a different MO. Adults learn a language usually because of enjoyment, curiosity, travel, business, whatever. Children learn a language because they have to. If they don't speak a language, they can't get what they need. They can't get their food, all that stuff.
And all the information that they're getting at that age is new information. Everything is new. Right. So they're just naturally trying to absorb everything because nothing makes sense at that age.
Exactly. But I would agree with you. I think Spanish is a great choice. I think as well, though, if you were to learn French again, I think in some ways that would help you with your Spanish. Obviously not with pronunciation, but the fact that they are both romantic languages, you could definitely see some similarities there.
They do have a similar style in the ways that they make words and make sentences. Because this is not really a German thing, but both in French and Spanish, and I assume Italian too, the way that they make words is way more focused on making the sentence sound nice, I think, to where they'll cut off, even if the conjugation might not fully make sense, they'll cut off like a letter just so it flows better, and I think that there's a lot of similarities in that sense in the way that they try to form the sentences.
Right. Although spoken German also does that. But anyway, it doesn't flow the same way though as French or Spanish. I see what you're saying. That's absolutely right. I agree. I'm also hoping to learn more Spanish. And I have to tell you and all of our listeners out there, if you have the time and the money, I would really suggest subscribing to Babbel. Now, Duolingo is also okay. It's free. I think there is like a Duolingo premium. But the thing with Duolingo is Duolingo a lot of times gives you sentences that don't really make sense. And you're not going to need to know or need to say, right? Like you could just Google, funny Duolingo sentences. Actually, Jared, do me a solid. Do that for me, and we can read some of them. But I used Babbel. I was actually part of a research experiment at Michigan State University. Basically, what Babbel claims is that within 10 weeks, I like how the numbers fit together. I think it was like 10 weeks, 10 to 15 minutes a day of language learning, you can get within a year's worth of Spanish language instruction, what you would get at like a college or university. So go through like Spanish 101 and Spanish 102. In those 10 weeks with Babbel, you could achieve the same language proficiency or the same language level. And so I took the Spanish test. I took all these tests. One was a speaking, one was a grammar, and I tested in, which I was not surprised, at novice low, which is basically like almost like a true beginner, right? Like I had a couple phrases up my sleeve, but for the most part, I couldn't understand that much. I couldn't really say that much, right? And then 10 weeks later, I did Babbel 10, 15 minutes every day. And a big caveat of their program is called spaced repetition, which means you keep seeing the same words over a certain period of time. And it's just like the term, spaced repetition. So, on Monday, you see these words, Tuesday, you see these words, Wednesday, and that's how you learn language.
There's more structure to it.
Right. And I went from novice low to novice high.
Nice.
Which is like, 2 steps up. on the ACTFL scale, which is the American Council for Teaching Foreign Languages. We're getting a little sciencey here, but anyway, so
I remember there's a podcast I listened to, Keith and the Girl, and Keith was trying to learn Spanish using Duolingo. And Hemda, who's the girl, she speaks a little Spanish, and so like he would come to an episode and be like, I'm 20% fluent in Spanish, and she would just ask him a basic question, and he'd just freeze.
Right. So did you find any funny Duolingo sentences?
I don't know the language of all of these, but I'll just read some of them. So Jeg osten is some language for I am the cheese.
Okay.
This here's a German one. I'll read it to you. Sie sind die heilige Kartoffelwaschen.
You're the holy potato waschen.
Yeah, they are the
wash.
They are washing the holy potato.
Oh, it's the verb. Yeah, they're washing the holy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I didn't put the verbs in the right spot. Yeah.
Right.
And see, that's a big problem.
That's also not even That's actually not even properly. Sie sind die heilige Kartoffelwaschen is not really how you say they are washing the holy potato.
Right. Sie waschen die heiligen Kartoffeln.
Yeah, so it's not even in the right order.
Correct. Exactly. So that's why I would say, yeah, if you want something free and you want to get some very, very basic knowledge, go with Duolingo. But I think
here's an English
Babbel's
one.
much better. Let's hear it.
We do not sell planes to elephants.
Exactly. So you're learning all these random words, and it's not going to get you anywhere. Whereas with Babbel, I learned a lot of useful things. In Spanish, sadly, I've forgotten most of them because I have not been keeping up with my Babbel. I should see if my subscription still works. It might still work for a couple more months. I'll have to see. But yeah. So that's the thing. There's just so many good ways to learn languages nowadays, and Spanish is a very, very practical one. Yeah. So now, Jared, I'd like to tell my story, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
Why I started to learn German, because it's kind of I think it's an interesting story. Bear with me, listeners.
I'm always fascinated as someone that had to learn a language through like a sort of an intense immersion. I'm always fascinated. Like my girlfriend, she studied abroad in Spain, but she never was immersed before that, and she's fluent now. And I'm always fascinated by anyone that can go through the American schooling system and end up fluent in a language.
Well, and here's the crazy thing, Jared. I became fluent in German before I went to Germany. I became fluent in German about my senior year of high school.
Okay.
3 years after, but, and let me tell my story now why. So, the first time I went to Germany, I was 14 years old. I was in 8th grade with my parents. We went there for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. And we go there, and it's kind of a long story, so I won't get into all of it. But basically, I have some distant relatives, my dad's former in-laws were German. His first wife was German. And so I wanted to get to know, we call them aunt and uncle, even though they're technically by blood or nowadays by marriage not related, because it was my father's first marriage. But he's still close with them. They're still close with us. And so I wanted to get to know them. And, when I was 14, I'd been playing guitar for about 4 years. I was just as big a guitar nerd then as I am now. Now I'm probably a bigger nerd, but anyways, doesn't matter. So I wanted to talk to my uncle, especially because they traveled and they toured all over West Germany in the 60s and 70s playing in a rock band.
That's cool.
That's actually how my aunt and my uncle met. And the funny thing is my Aunt Hannah, Tanta Hannah, they sang a lot of cover songs in English, but she doesn't speak like a word of English really. She knows how to say how much because she loves to shop, and I don't speak English. Those are like the two things she can say.
Mluvite anglicky.
And so I wanted to talk to them about the 60s and 70s and what the music scene was like in Germany and all these questions, right? But my dad was so busy catching up with them because, he hadn't seen them in quite a while that he didn't have time to translate. And as a 14-year-old, I didn't understand, one, how difficult it was to translate a real-time conversation. Like that on its own is a very distinct, specialized skill.
Right, yep.
Right? Any interpreter out there, their brains work on such a high level, it's crazy to be able to do that stuff real time.
when we were in Berlin, and we did Piano Man in like 4 different languages.
That was
there
great.
was like Dutch. Oh, maybe 5: Dutch, Spanish, French, German, and English.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That was good. But yeah, and so that I got really, to be honest, man, I felt really isolated and I felt really frustrated because I couldn't get to know these really awesome people, and I wanted to. And I didn't understand what was going on around me. And that was the first time ever in my life where I had experienced that.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was going on around me. And then watching my dad just yuck it up with my uncle, having a blast.
What are you talking about?
Right. So that really motivated me to learn it. And then a few years later, I'm a sophomore in high school. That summer before my sophomore year, my German relatives came to visit. So my cousin Vanessa and my Aunt Hannah, my Uncle Dieter stayed in Germany. And they came to visit, and, I was speaking German with them the whole time. And this was after 2 years of high school German. And so there was a lot I didn't know, a lot I couldn't say. But I have to give myself a lot of credit. I'm not trying to brag here, but I really tried. I really, really tried really hard. And it was great. I learned so many random words and phrases while they were there. It was awesome. And then one of the words my cousin taught me, which was Schnitte. Do you know what Schnitte is?
Well, Schnitte is like a piece or cutting or something like that.
Yep.
But I don't know what Schnitte specifically would be.
Eine Schnitte is like an attractive lady.
Like a cutie, look at that piece.
I guess, yeah. And so she had taught me that word, and we always joke because it was kind of funny, right? They would teach me words, and I'd say them. I'm sure because of my accent and stuff, they were laughing. And so it's a joke. I told my cousin Vanessa, I said, you need to introduce me to a German Schnitte, right? Introduce me to that, German cutie. Why not? And she said, well, you already like know one. And I had like briefly met. Well, they're not from the Alabama of Germany, Jared. Come on. But she said you already know one, and I had briefly met this girl named Katharina, who was my first ever serious girlfriend. So we had become like pen pals. Back then, it was with a German Facebook. Basically, we talked on there. We talked on ICQ. SchülerVZ. Either that or StudiVZ.
How'd you find her?
My cousin put us in contact.
Oh, okay.
With one another. And so we started writing, and then I'll never forget, dude, on Halloween, that must have been 2007. Halloween 2007. I don't know why, but I was in like a bad mood, had a shitty day at school or whatever. My buddy Robert, like I look at my phone and I have like 8 missed messages from him. And I'm like, Robert, what's going on? And she's like, Are you like near your computer? Like your cousin keeps like messaging me. I don't know what's going on, but she wants to talk to you. And so I'm like, shit, did one of my family members die?
Right.
What happened? And so my cousin messages me. She's like, hey, can I call you? And I'm like, oh no, like
that's
somebody
never a good
probably
sign.
died. And she calls me, and like I'm talking to her, and I'm like, something's off, but not like off like somebody died, but just like something's off.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I have someone that wants to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And then she goes, Katharina, and she like calls for her. She comes to the phone, and we start talking. And I know this sounds really cliche and really stupid, but we literally talked on the phone until the battery on my cousin's phone died. And then every Saturday, we would talk on the phone for 2 to 3 hours. I shit you not, Jared. I would sit in front of my parents' old desktop computer, that was like the size of a television back then.
Yeah.
And I would have dic.cc up, which is like a German dictionary website. So if I didn't know a word, mine too, I would type it up and, we would talk. And we became very, very close to the point where I really started developing feelings for her, vice versa. I got a job at my local pharmacy back then. I saved up my money that entire year, bought my own plane ticket.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, went and stayed with her and her family for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. And it was amazing. And that really, really, really helped my German. And I remember my German teacher telling me after I had come back from Germany, she was like, I've never had a student that's improved this quickly. And a lot of it was because of that. I lived with a German family for a couple weeks. The parents didn't really speak English. The girl I was dating at the time, she was really shy about speaking English. So I had to speak German. And the agreement we initially had was we'd speak, half German, half English. It never turned out that way. But I was super excited and stoked to learn German, so I was okay with it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, for months or however long that was, you had like a 2-3 hour intensive German classes. I mean, obviously you didn't look at it that way,
right?
And in the moment you didn't realize that you were like having a German class, but you were having a legitimate German class every week.
Right. And that goes back to, I know this is going to sound really stupid, but you have to learn any language you want to learn. You have to make it personal. And what's more personal than falling in love with somebody and using that language to converse with them?
Yeah.
I had a lot of motivation, a lot of reason. And what was really funny was I had an exchange student friend, Felix, and he would always mess with me. She would write me something and I wouldn't quite know what it would mean. And he would say, "Oh, yeah, Chad, she says he ends this message as she wants to break up with you." He would always say stuff like that. It was always really funny. And he would tell me, "Oh, send her this." And I'd be like, "Felix, I can already tell this is probably something really dirty. I'm not going to send this to her." So that's kind of my story with German. With Spanish, it's a short story. It was basically my friend in high school spoke Spanish. We spent probably 4 days a week, either me at his house or him back at my house. Mm-hmm. And so I always felt really guilty. And I had the same feeling here in the Czech Republic. I always felt guilty when I was at his parents' house and they would speak English, because I'm like, look, I'm in your home. Speak Spanish. I can learn some. Worst case scenario, I don't understand, and you can repeat it in English.
Yeah, I've been in that situation a lot when I lived in Germany, because I had friends from all over the place. And even though, I had friends from France, Germany, Greek friends, even though I couldn't learn all of their languages, I still kind of felt bad. Like we're like even like the parents sometimes, like if we're all at the dinner table together, like they'd be speaking English together, and like I felt a little bad too. Even though I couldn't learn 6 different languages at a time or whatever, I was like, man, you guys are doing this for me. Like even if it's not feeling bad, it gives you like you really appreciate it. Maybe it's not fully feeling bad. It's like, wow, they're doing this because I'm here.
Right. I feel guilty. I feel like I'm in a way kind of killing the vibe, because my presence is forcing them to speak English. Yeah. Whereas, if my Czech was better, it wouldn't be that way. But at the same time, I don't really think within 7 months of being here, it's possible to get conversational. I think basic conversational level Czech, yes, it's totally possible.
Yeah.
But I think
not chatting it up with people.
Exactly. And, just like in any language, there's slang. Different regions, they have different pronunciations of things, completely different words sometimes. And so it's difficult, and I feel bad. And obviously the whole reason why I started to learn Czech was because I came here, and here in Chomutov, you need it. Right. There have been a lot of times where I've been, the first couple months I was here, there were quite a few times where I would try to go do basic things, and it would be an adventure, because I didn't have the language skills. And now it's really funny. I was at a restaurant yesterday, and my mentor was like, "Oh, do you need me to translate the menu?" And I'm like, "Nope. Menus are good. I can do food, no problem." And it's really easy. But it's because, I'm not a great cook. I don't have a ton of cooking utensils and stuff here. I have 2 plates, 3 bowls, and 1 frying pan and 1, what's even the term? A pot.
I used more than that yesterday on a meal I cooked. And that was a simple meal I cooked.
See, so there you go. So I go out to eat a lot here, was my point. And so that's why. But a future language I want to learn now. I want to continue with German, obviously, continue with Spanish, obviously, and Czech as well, which is always funny.
Do you think you're going to continue Czech after you leave?
Yeah, I would like to.
How so?
Because why not?
Yeah, I mean, you got a base.
Podcasts. I have tons of Czech podcasts.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. I don't really care so much about reading and writing. I think unless I moved back here and lived here for 4 or 5 years, I don't think my reading and writing skills I can read it and understand some stuff, but I don't think like actual
Reading
legit
novels
literature. Exactly. I don't think I will ever be at that level unless I moved here or married a Czech woman or something, But I think speaking and listening, I think it's good to have because I love it here, man. And this is not going to be my last time here.
Right.
I plan on coming back. I'm even planning maybe next summer of coming back here for a couple weeks. So who knows? Maybe we might have to do a summer Euro trip 2.0 next summer. Who knows? But anyways, so I want to.
You don't want to come back in 10 months and already be struggling with it because I think it's also possible for it to like if you just leave and never think about it again until you go back. Like you'll already see a sort of a degradation in your language skills, and it's like I don't want to lose it that quickly. Like I've already got a base. I've already started.
Right, and the thing is, I think there are certain things that I will probably never forget in Czech. Mm-hmm. Like certain phrases, right? Ještě jedno, I don't think will ever be forgotten. The amount of times I've heard and said that, exactly. Or another one.
Another one. Yep.
Because it was so funny. So today when we were at my friend/colleague's parents' house, the 3-year-old, I did this too when I was little, was drinking like a coffee, like a little thing of coffee creamer, right? And she said ještě jedno,
gross,
like another one, another little thing of coffee creamer. And so when I heard that, when I hear that, I associate it with beer. But it was just so funny seeing a 3-year-old
taking
with a
shots
little thing
of creamer,
of coffee creamer. Yeah. So that was funny. But anyway, so I want to keep up with those languages. But now I really want to challenge myself, Jared. So you know what languages you have to challenge yourself with?
I assume it's something that involves a different script.
Yes, sir. And not even a script, but characters. So I would like to learn, I think in terms of practicality, I think Chinese or Mandarin will be the most useful.
Yeah.
Although I think if I were to rank them, would probably be Chinese or Mandarin number 1, or Chinese/Mandarin. Number 2, probably Japanese, and then 3 would be Korean. Mm-hmm. But I think in the next 5 to 10 years, with the way China is developing, I think it'll be a useful language to have. 2, I think it sounds interesting with the tones, right? And you and I are both musical. I think you and I could both pick up on the tones, and maybe it might sharpen our ears a little. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely requires a different, it requires you to use a different skill and muscle in your brain because you're not just fully learning it's not like Czech where you're just, it's difficult, but you're just learning a new language and you're reading stuff that you already recognize. But like with the tone, you have to almost listen to how people speak. You have to listen to people differently. And you have to especially in the beginning, it will require a much closer style of listening as well. And I think that it'll activate a different part of your language learning brain, I would bet.
Oh, for sure.
That would be an interesting one. I would not that I don't want to learn those languages, but it's definitely not a focus for me. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if I have the diligence to really sit down and try to learn that language. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, for sure. But I think you need that diligence for any language.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to discount. I don't want to make it seem like Spanish is going to be easy because it's not different characters or something like that.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. Each language has its own difficulties. And I can tell you as someone who's kind of gotten my feet wet in the Spanish learning experience, the most difficult thing, at least for me in Spanish, was verb tenses. They have tons. Ask your girlfriend. Just ask her, explain to me verb tenses in Spanish. I'm sure she'll sigh and be like, oh, really?
I'm going to see her tonight. I'll bring it up.
All right, please do. And then message me and let me know what her reaction is because I'm curious. Okay. Because I think they're really complicated. Like in English, we have 12 verb tenses.
What do you mean by verb tense, by the way?
Like past tense, present tense, present continuous,
okay.
I am going, things like this, right? So that's difficult in Spanish. And then I also think not only the verb tenses, but then for us English speakers, pronunciation can be a little bit difficult, especially the speed, the quickness of Spanish. It's a very fast spoken language. But Jared, I want to wrap up our main segment with a couple things. basically try to encapsulate what we've talked about. So number one, obviously learn a language that's near and dear to your heart and you can relate it to your actual life, right? If you're into cars, maybe German would be a good choice, or maybe Japanese as well. I mean, there's a big market with Japanese cars as well.
Yeah, JDM.
Right, exactly. So make it personal. And you know, find something that you truly love and enjoy, like you so well said, Jared. You know, movies, music, comics, anything. Podcasts, absolutely. Especially untranslatable podcasts for one. The other thing too.
The good thing I like about podcasts too is it gives you like people having normal conversations is what I really enjoy about it. Where they're not teaching you something, or it's not even like a movie where you're following a plot. It's just a normal conversation. I love that.
Right. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. The other thing, too, is find people you can practice the language with and get excited about learning it, right? You don't want to talk to somebody that's so advanced and isn't good at coming kind of down to your level to meet your needs and your vocabulary, where you always feel frustrated and you feel stupid.
Yeah.
Because if anybody is trying to learn a language, you should never feel stupid. You know, it's normal to feel frustrated sometimes, but you should not feel stupid because you're doing something to better yourself, to expand your mind, to learn about a new culture. And I think that's really commendable.
It's kind of like making fun of the heavy person in the gym.
Right.
Where it's like, well, why do you think they're there?
Exactly. So make it personal. Find a good language partner. Not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I'm an okay German partner for Jared. I try my best.
We've talked about this plenty of times. I don't need to wet your whistle anymore. You're great.
Right. So that's number one. Make it personal. Number two, find a good language partner. And number three, even if you really develop a good proficiency or level, keep maintaining that language. Whether it's writing to your friends. This goes back to number one, really. Kind of rinse, recycle, and repeat, you know. Where, you know, watch some of your favorite movies. Maybe you've seen them in English. Okay, watch them in a foreign language. Buy Harry Potter in German or Spanish or Chinese or who knows what. You know, there's so many cool ways and fun ways to continue your language learning journey.
My sister, she was a big Harry Potter nerd, like everyone in her age group, in our age group. And she not only had all the books, obviously, but she also had all the books in French.
In French, I remember you telling me that.
And she had the book on tape in French as well. So she would not only read it in French, but she'd
smart.
also listen to it in French.
That's smart. And maybe even if you have the time, listen to it while reading along, depending of your language level. Now, if you
that's a good idea.
Just want to polish your listening skills, then don't do that. But if you're trying to kind of make those connections in your mind, listening while reading would be great.
Yeah.
And you know, the beauty of all the different types of media we have, you can always pause, rewind, repeat, all this. And that's why I love music. You find a good song. You know, when I was in high school learning German, that was another big reason why my German got so good so fast, was I was listening only German on the school bus to school and home from school. And I would listen to the same album on repeat, like all the time. I actually had the album memorized, even though I didn't know what all the meanings were and what all the words were. So it's pretty crazy. And speaking of that, it's time to move on to our song of the pod, which is a very special one this week. And it's called Am Strand, which means on the beach, by Farin Urlaub, who is the singer and guitar player from the band Die Ärzte, who we've actually featured as a song of the pod quite a while ago.
Yep. I mean, this is also great, not only for, I assume you listened to Farin Urlaub when you were learning German a lot, because you did listen to Die Ärzte. But this is not only fitting for that topic, but it's also fitting as we move into the hotter seasons.
And that's why I chose it. Good job, Jared. You knew.
I hate summer in Philadelphia, by the way.
Why is that?
Because it gets deceivingly hot here. Like it's an average summer day is high 80s and 90s, and it's aggressively humid. Like it's so humid here. I remember the first summer I was here, I was like, I was confused because I was like, why is this reminding me of Louisiana? I was like, this should not be reminding me of Louisiana. It's terrible. But I do like those sort of like songs of the summer. Is the word I would use for it. Where it's like those sort of songs that remind you that like the seasons are changing, and it's like might not even be your favorite song, but it's your favorite song to listen to when it's summer outside or when you're outside on the beach or something like that. Like a song called "On the Beach."
Right. So let's describe it for our listeners, since we unfortunately can't play the music on our episodes due to copyright. So basically, it has I would say it has a very Beach Boys feel to it.
Yeah.
It has background vocals that are kind of Beach Boys-esque. There's like a tambourine as well. And it's a fantastic song. The funny thing is, though, here, what we can do is look at some of the lyrics.
Yeah, so I already have some of them up. I have them up. I can just read them to you, and you can translate them, Mr. German speaker.
All right, go for it. Let's hear it.
Ich sah dich
Vorübergehen.
Oh ja, vorübergehen. Und bevor ich etwas sagen konnte.
So I'll translate that. So, like, I saw you going by, and before I could say something,
wurdest du vor meinen Augen von Lastwagen überfahren. Das hat bestimmt sehr wehgetan.
Okay, so let me translate that before we get too far ahead. So once again, I saw you going by, and before I could say something, you were run over by a truck right in front of my eyes. That definitely had to hurt. Then he says, ich schick dir einen Blumenstrauß, du liegst im Krankenhaus, which sounds great. It rhymes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sending you a bouquet of flowers, and you're laying in the hospital, and the whole song is kind of ironic. He's basically, this song was like a flex before flexing was a thing. Like, as I was listening to this earlier today, I thought about that. Like, he's basically bragging about how he says, now I'm going to make you translate, Jared. He says, ich liege am Strand mit einem eiskalten Getränk in meiner Hand.
So I'm lying on the beach with a cold drink in my hand.
Ich habe eine Sonnenbrille auf, weil ich sie brauche.
I have sunglasses on because I need them.
Die Sonne scheint mir auf den Bauch.
The sun shines on my stomach.
So geht's doch auch.
It's like kind of that's how life goes, I guess, is how you would say that.
Right. And then this is also really funny too. So, ich sah dich zur Arbeit gehen. 30 Jahre warst du deiner Firma treu. Jetzt haben sie dir gekündigt. Fristlos nach all dieser Zeit.
So I saw you going to work. You were, for 30 years, you were loyal to them. Now you have, now you have the customer?
No. Kündigen is to be laid off. Now they've laid you off.
Oh, I should really learn that one, shouldn't I?
Right. So now they've laid you off.
Fristlos nach... I don't know what frist is.
Fristlos, like without warning, basically. Like without warning after all this time. And then I love, this whole song is just, it's irony. It's irony upon irony. Then so viel zum Thema Dankbarkeit. So much for the theme of like thankfulness or being thankful. Then now I'm just going to translate this because otherwise we'll be here all night. So then you immediately had a heart attack and now you're in a coffin. So they died.
And
right,
and then
chorus. He says, "I'm on the beach with an ice cold drink in my hand." But yeah, so this whole song is kind of ironic. He's flexing on him, but it is a great song if you want to get in that springtime, summertime mood, laying on the beach with an ice cold drink in your hand, and it's a good way to learn some German. If you don't know what the phrase "Ich liege am Strand" after the song is done, we have failed you at the Untranslatable podcast as well as Fahr in Urlaub.
And I love this too because it also kind of speaks to like how we all get excited for the changing of the seasons. Ooh, it's summer out. That means we all get to go outside and dress sexier. But it's like for certain people, life still just goes on. Just because seasons changing doesn't mean your life is improving or getting better just because it's nicer outside. Right. And so I think it's also kind of a nice little story. I mean, nice story. It's funny, but it's like a interesting story to it as well.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. It's a good song. Check it out on our Twitter, Untranslatable1, or on our YouTube, Untranslatable Podcast, Fahr in Urlaub am Strand. It's a great summertime vibe song, or laid-back vibes if that's what you're into as well. So, Jared, next up is time for our Czech word of the pod. And I have kind of a loosely related word this week, which is slovník.
Slovník. Is it learning? education.
Nope. It's a tool you might use to learn a foreign language.
Conversation.
A written tool.
Like book.
A book, a type of book.
A novel.
Nope.
Like a textbook.
Nope.
All right, what is it? Give it to me.
A book of words, Jared. What is a book of words?
Oh, a dictionary.
A dictionary, Slovnik.
Slovnik.
I think the Czechs use the same word as Germans do for novel. I think. I think they use roman. I'm going to double check on that.
Well, roman's not really a German word, is it?
They use roman as well in Czech.
That makes sense. I don't think.
Is it French?
Roman is. That would be my
Latin?
guess.
What is it?
Actually, maybe that would be my guess.
Okay.
But I don't think it's specifically like a German word.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, clearly it's not.
They use it in German, but also in Czech. But yeah, so Slovnik is my Czech word of the pod today, dictionary, which can also be a useful tool. Nowadays, we're fortunate where there are tons and tons of apps and websites you can use and find things at the drop of a hat, which is great.
For sure.
So anyways, now it's time for our quote of the pod. And I think the biggest thing when wanting to learn a language or starting your journey is realize, number one, be patient, and number two, embrace the lifelong learning process.
Yeah. Because if you're going to be doing this, if you're going to be learning a language, at least ideally you want to, and that's something that should stay around for forever. Like it's an ongoing process. Even once you, for example, who could be considered fluent, it's still an ongoing process. There's still more to learn. I still stump you every now and again with words.
You stump me a lot, actually, because Jared thinks I'm a walking Slovnik or walking German dictionary. So there you go. And the other thing, too, is that no matter how excited you are about learning a language, and I don't mean to, be a party pooper here, as we say, but if your heart's not really in it, don't waste the time. Find a language that's going to be useful, that you enjoy. It should be fun. Yes, there will be some difficult times. Yes, you will get frustrated. That's all part of the process. Embrace it, accept it. But if your heart's not really in it, don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, piano frustrates me all the time, but I still practice, all the time as well. I still want to do it, even though I get angry that I can't get stuff.
Right. You're getting there, though. Jam track number 4 is proof. That's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't even worked on a new jam track since then. Because when I do that, then I don't focus on my actual stuff for my piano lesson.
Right. Well, I'm going to send you some new chords soon so I can distract you a little bit.
All right.
But anyways, it's now time, unfortunately, to say goodbye to all of you today. But we hope that you have enjoyed our stories about languages we've learned and languages we want to learn. And we hope you've also picked up on a couple useful tips and tricks of learning your own foreign language. And we cannot emphasize enough how amazing and exciting of a journey it can be. It can be incredibly helpful. And we're also here to help. So if you have questions, comments, or concerns about learning a new language, you can contact us at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Also, check out our photos on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. We have our videos up on YouTube and also an epic playlist of our songs of the pod from international and American artists that you will definitely enjoy.
You betcha.
can find us at Untranslatable Podcast as well. We have a website. Take a quick look. It's fantastic. You can actually find some of our written untranslatable phrases. And lastly, please do not forget, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Stitcher. We would love to hear from you. And give us some feedback on how we can make the podcast better. We can always improve. There's always room for improvement. So we would love to hear your comments. So we thank all of you, our international listeners from around the world. We really, really appreciate it. We hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Tell us your stories. And as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Děkujeme.